In the beginning of the drama, we see Jianli #1 High School, where there are very brilliant students. In the chart there, we also see the names of two kids, one of them named Yuji, our female lead, and the other boy named Lin, our male lead, who are the toppers of their class. This drama is going to be really funny and entertaining, and along with all the fun, we're also going to see some interesting romance between our main leads. So, let's see how their story begins. After that, we see Lin is outside on the ground, where some kids are bullying him a lot and troubling him. Right then, Yuji arrives there, and she saves him and starts running away from there. But all the bullies go after Lin again, and now they even start troubling Yuji too. But right then, we get to see that Lin has some powers. He touches his hands near his nose, and something like a vibration comes out of it, and all the people start falling down right there and get hurt a lot. Lin didn't even have to touch them. But then something happens. We see Yuji grabbing Lin, but as soon as she grabs his hand, Lin isn't able to use his powers at all. Suddenly, everything stops, and even after trying hard, Lin still cannot use his powers. Because of this, a bully comes and beats him again, but somehow, the two of them run away from there. Now outside, Yuji sits down and tells Lin that his nose is bleeding, and she explains to him that he shouldn't just sit quietly in front of bullies like this. She says he should go to the principal and complain about all these people. Here, Yuji explains a lot of things to him, and Lin also feels quite good being with Yuji. But he says that now he will have to erase Yuji's memory, otherwise Yuji will always remember all these things. From this, we understand that maybe Lin can also erase memories, and he also has a lot of supernatural powers. After that, we see a short clip from 3 years later, where in one scene, we see both of them sleeping together, and as soon as Yuji's eyes open, she gets quite angry and even slaps him there. That day was her 20th birthday, and she doesn't celebrate it either, and is quite angry. After this, we see that all this time passes, and we see a scene from much later, where an award function is being hosted, and the host is none other than Yuji. It's a very big award show, and here we find out that Yuji has become the host of a very big fashion show. On the other side, Lin is now a very big businessman, and there's a company called Gaga Capital, of which he is now the CEO, and he is quite a big businessman. Here he also receives an award, and here Yuji and Lin were about to give an award together to another reporter. But right here, as soon as Lin tries to shake hands with Yuji, Yuji doesn't shake his hand there at all and walks away angrily. Yuji comes and starts shouting at her boss saying, "You called Lin to this event and you didn't even tell me." And her boss says that because of Lin coming, the viewership has increased a lot, and people had become very interested in this award show. But Yuji was quite angry there. On the other side, we see Lin, where a call comes from one of his friends named Yan. Yan is a doctor, a brain surgeon, and then he calls and tells Lin. First, he asks him why he came here and says, "You must have come here because of Yuji." But Lin can't say anything there, and he also knew this fact himself, that he had come here after so many years just to meet Yuji. After that, we see that at the party, Yuji also finds out from the news that her father's health has suddenly gotten much worse. There's some trouble in his brain, and he has now been taken to the hospital, where in the news right now, everyone is saying very absurd things about him, that his company is running in very heavy loss. Because of this, everyone was saying that his father did this on purpose, that he tried to commit suicide himself, or did something to himself so that he wouldn't have to pay back the money. And where all the people were protesting a lot against his company, Yuji gets very troubled seeing this and quickly goes to the hospital. There she meets her father's assistant, whose name is Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao explains everything to her there and tells her that her father's health suddenly got worse. And right now, how troubled everyone is, protests are happening everywhere. And now his company might not even be able to move forward. Here, she feels very bad. Yuji is now sitting alone and crying a lot. On the other side, we now see Lin, whose assistant Qing is telling him there that they narrowly escaped because these people were about to collaborate with that very company, that is, with Mr. Yuji, and were going to do some business. But they found out beforehand that his company is in so much loss, so now they won't have to work together. But here, Lin doesn't like this at all, and he goes to the hospital. But he sees that Yuji is sitting there crying. He moves forward to comfort her, but right then Yuji was taking the name of A Tianzhen, who was maybe her crush, and she liked Tianzhen a lot. Now as soon as he hears Tianzhen's name, Lin feels very bad there and walks away from there. On the other side, the next day at the office, he comes to meet her, where Yuji tells him that she doesn't need Lin at all, and Lin tells her that he wants to work with her. Lin wanted to help her here, but Yuji completely refuses. She says that she will never take his help. And we see that she even went in front of the media once and said that within 100 days, she will definitely find some solution and save her company. And she asks everyone for a grace period of 100 days because all the big staff members of the company and everyone else were putting all the blame on Yuji right now. So she asks everyone for a grace period of 100 days, and this had spread everywhere in the media too. And here, Yuji hadn't taken help from the start, and now she wasn't even able to do hosting because people didn't want to watch her show at all. She goes to meet some of her father's friends at a big party where she could get someone's help, but no one there is helping her. Whoever she tried to talk to, everyone was avoiding her. But right then, a man comes there who sits next to her and talks to her. Actually, he was trying to flirt with her, and Yuji wasn't comfortable at all here. Seeing this, Lin also gets quite angry, and Lin takes Yuji away from there. But Yuji doesn't listen to him there, and goes outside and sits in a car and leaves. But right then, Lin finds out that she had rented the car for some time just like this, and now she'll have to walk from there. So Lin also goes after her. Lin sees Yuji getting out of the car alone, but some people begin troubling her. He saves her, and once again, whenever Yuji touches him or holds his hand, Lin loses control of his powers and becomes physically weak. Meanwhile, Yan explains to his students that some people have unusually powerful brains, allowing them to do things normal humans cannot. However, using the brain this intensely can cause serious problems or even early death. This makes it clear that Lin's condition may be connected to his extraordinary abilities. Yuji grabs Lin's hand and pulls him away, causing him to lose control of his powers again. She takes him home, but when he asks her to stay, she angrily refuses. Yan is waiting outside and warns Lin that being around Yuji makes him use his brain too much, putting dangerous pressure on it. Ching soon arrives with Lin's papers. Seeing Lin and Yan together excites her because she secretly writes a novel about a CEO called Little Devil and imagines the two men may like each other. She goes home and continues writing. That night, Yan stays with Lin. Lin asks him to invest in Yuji's company under Yan's name because he cannot directly invest his own company's money. Yan agrees. Meanwhile, Yuji loses her job after her show is shut down, following massive protests. She can't even pay her bills and goes to the hospital to stay with her father, but doctors refuse to let her remain there. The doctor tells her that her father needs a brain specialist named Yan. Yuji realizes he is the same man she saw outside Lin's house and agrees to meet Lin. Yuji and Lin sign a contract. She agrees to stay with him and follow his instructions, while Lin will invest in her company. Yuji also asks Lin to have Yan treat her father, and Lin agrees. Lin prepares a room for Yuji, but she chooses another one and refuses his food. With no money, she secretly visits a supermarket and eats free samples. Lin finds her and buys everything she was looking at, but she becomes annoyed and walks away. Lin later gives her books to study so she can run the company properly. On Yuji's birthday, he also brings her a cake. The cake reminds her of her 20th birthday, when she and Lin became drunk and slept together without remembering what happened. Since then, she has kept her distance. Yuji calls Tianzhen while feeling sad. Later, she talks to an online friend about wanting to celebrate her birthday. Unknown to her, that friend is Lin. He secretly arranges fireworks, and Yuji happily watches them without realizing he did it. She then spends the entire night studying Lin's books. The next morning, Lin quietly leaves while Yuji sleeps. Ching arrives and is shocked to find Yuji there. Yuji explains that Lin hired her as his assistant for about 100 days. Ching jokes that her position has been replaced, but Yuji assures her she will still handle everything. While dropping Ching off, Yuji teaches her about makeup and promises to teach her properly. Yuji later visits Nuan at work. During Nuan's interview with a celebrity, the actress complains that Nuan looks too simple for television. Yuji quickly explains that Nuan deliberately dressed simply so the audience would focus on the actress. The actress accepts it, and Nuan thanks Yuji. Meanwhile, Yan repeatedly calls Lin, but Lin doesn't answer. Angry because they were supposed to play basketball, Yan calls Ching instead and meets her at the hospital. At home, Yuji puts food on the stove and showers. The bathroom tap breaks and floods the room. Yuji screams, and Lin rushes in, wraps her in a towel, and fixes it. He then discovers the food has burned. Lin criticizes Yuji's lack of discipline and decides to teach her through household chores. She spends the day cleaning, making the bed, organizing everything, and learning time management until she is exhausted. That evening, Tianzhen calls Yuji and says he has arrived in China. She happily prepares to pick him up. Lin becomes jealous. He had even asked Yan how to defeat a love rival, but Yan couldn't help him. When Lin sees Yuji dressed up, he asks where she's going. She says she's picking up a friend, but Lin reminds her of their contract requiring them to inform each other before going out. He then claims he has important work and takes her to the supermarket instead. Yuji, dressed to meet Tianzhen, ends up shopping for Lin. Lin deliberately takes different routes home, and they even get lost. Yuji becomes furious and calls Nuan to pick Tianzhen up from the airport. Nuan agrees. When Yuji returns, she blames Lin for ruining everything. Lin secretly enjoys the fact that she didn't meet Tianzhen. Later, Nuan tells Yuji she dropped Tianzhen home, and Yuji finally relaxes. The next morning, Tianzhen appears at the office and talks warmly with Yuji. Lin becomes jealous while Qing watches. When Yuji and Tianzhen leave the elevator, they nearly hug. Lin secretly uses his powers, causing an electric shock through Yuji's hand. She immediately pulls away, leaving Tianzhen confused. Soon, Lin's company holds a major meeting with shareholders and senior employees. Yuji is nervous because she knows little about business. Lin gives her an earpiece and guides her throughout the meeting. Everyone tries to manipulate Yuji and push their own interests, but she confidently presents the company's future plans using Lin's instructions. Everyone is impressed. Once outside, Yuji becomes nervous and drinks water. Lin laughs but praises her. Meanwhile, employees gossip about Lin and Tianzhen both being handsome and apparently interested in Yuji. Qing quietly listens and wonders what is happening. Back in the office, Lin tells Yuji to build her own team. She struggles to find new employees, but while playing with Zhenga, she gets an idea. She can recruit talented people already working in other departments. She chooses Zhenga as manager, an assistant general manager, Lin for brand packaging, Zhao for public relations, and Ni for brand planning. Lin likes the team but notices Yuji spends more time playing games with them than working. He scolds her. Yuji explains she wants to become friends with everyone first so they can work as a strong team. Lin is speechless. When Tianzhen arrives, Lin becomes jealous again. Yuji tells him to return to his company, and he leaves. That evening, Yuji goes with Tianzhen to a restaurant they visited as children. They eat and take pictures together. Lin becomes jealous when he sees them. Nuan also sees the pictures and becomes uncomfortable. When Yuji returns, Lin tells her to clean the house. Realizing he is jealous, she sends a cleaning machine instead, but it breaks a small toy. Lin says the toy is important to him, but Yuji doesn't understand. The next day, Yuji, Lin, Tianzhen, and Nuan visit an orphanage where they plan to make their first investment. An unknown man secretly watches Yuji. Lin reveals that he grew up there and met Yan there as a child. The teacher shows their old pictures. They organize a Snow White play, but no girl wants to play the witch. Yuji and Lin find a girl crying because everyone forces her to be the witch. Lin comforts her by sharing how he once had no friends until he met Yan. Yuji promises to make the girl beautiful for the role. After Yuji applies her makeup, the other children become impressed and suddenly want to play the witch too. Yuji and Lin are happy to see her confidence return. Meanwhile, businessman Shen learns that Yuji is at the orphanage and continues planning to take over her company. That evening, Yuji asks Lin about assets and liabilities. Lin jokingly calls her a liability, making her angry. Later, her AC stops working, so she sleeps on the sofa. Lin finds her in the morning, covers her with a blanket, and prepares food. Yuji wakes late and expects Lin to drive her, but he sends her by bus. Having never used a bus, Yuji struggles, gets on the wrong one, and arrives late. Lin has created a rule that late employees must have their picture taken and posted. Even though Yuji is the boss, Lin insists she follows the rule. Tianzhen becomes angry seeing Yuji humiliated and tells Lin she shouldn't be treated this way. Lin tells him to focus on his own work. Lin later asks where Yuji is and learns she has gone to a mall for research on their next project. At the mall, a scammer deliberately bumps into Yuji and breaks a jade bracelet, then falsely demands money. When she refuses, he takes her to the police. Yuji calls Tianzhen, but Lin learns about it and arrives first. He exposes the scam, and the police arrest the man. Tianzhen arrives afterward and checks on Yuji. She leaves with him, making Lin jealous. Later, Yuji, Tianzhen, and Nuan are at Tianzhen's house. Tianzhen gives Yuji most of his attention, making Nuan uncomfortable. He cooks for Yuji and takes care of her before driving them home. Yuji chooses to stay with Nuan, so Tianzhen drops her there and leaves. Yuji eventually returns home, but Lin has locked the door because he is jealous. She asks him to open it and says she brought food, but when she reveals Tianzhen cooked it, Lin throws it away and storms off. Later, Yuji checks her weight, and Lin jokes that eating at night will make her gain weight. He takes her running to help her lose it. Yuji quickly becomes exhausted. She later lies about exercising, but Lin checks her watch and catches her. Her feet hurt badly afterward. Lin refuses to massage her himself, but secretly sends her a massage chair the next day, making her happy. Yuji later gets into Lin's car to discuss the construction company for their mall. At the site, Tianzhen is also there. Yuji and Tianzhen become friendly, making Lin jealous. He secretly uses his powers to separate them. Lin tells Yuji to focus on work. Tianzhen defends her and says she can come to him if Lin treats her badly. Yuji explains that Lin simply gets angry sometimes. Suddenly, construction material falls. Tianzhen pushes Yuji away and gets injured. That night, Yuji tells Nuan how much Tianzhen cares about her and says she plans to confess her feelings on his birthday. Nuan, secretly in love with Tianzhen, tells her to think carefully. Later, Yuji exercises with Lin and accidentally hits her head. Lin becomes terrified and takes her to the hospital. Yan checks Yuji and confirms she is fine, but realizes Lin is becoming overly protective. Yan later warns Lin that Yuji's presence makes his brain work harder and worsens his condition. He tells Lin to stay away from her or risk dying. Lin ignores him and visits Yuji's father instead, taking care of him. The next day is Tianzhen's birthday. Yuji dresses beautifully to see him. Lin tries to stop her by having Qing call about a meeting. Yuji struggles with her dress, so she calls Lin. He tries fixing it but breaks the dress. She changes into another one, which also tears while arguing with him. Tianzhen calls, and Lin claims they should attend the meeting. Yuji realizes he's only trying to stop her from seeing Tianzhen, takes his car, and leaves. Meanwhile, Qing misunderstands Yan's blind date and assumes Lin and Yan are secretly together. She pretends to be Yan's wife in front of the woman, causing the date to end badly. Yan becomes furious at her misunderstanding, but she thinks she has helped him. She takes him on her motorcycle to find Lin, and they narrowly avoid an accident. Meanwhile, Yuji waits for Tianzhen at the hotel, but he never arrives. She takes his birthday cake to his house. Tianzhen finds a threatening photograph at his door, showing him apparently kissing Yuji. Nuan arrives, and Tianzhen is nervous. She finally confesses her love and shows him old letters. In a flashback, Nuan remembers being a law student and secretly communicating with Tianzhen through a book. She later discovered he had been answering her questions and fell in love with him. Tianzhen tells her that he only loves her and considers Yuji like a sister. Nuan becomes extremely happy, and they hug. Yuji arrives at Tianzhen's house and sees someone kissing inside. Believing Tianzhen is with another woman, she becomes heartbroken and leaves without speaking. Her cake falls to the ground, and she goes to a restaurant and drinks heavily. Lin is also upset, believing Yuji is celebrating Tianzhen's birthday. Yan tries to advise him about winning her heart. Then Lin receives a call saying Yuji is drunk at a restaurant and immediately goes to her. Yuji drunkenly kisses Lin and complains about Tianzhen, saying she thought he was already with someone else. Lin realizes she believes she was rejected. He takes her home, tolerates her drunken behavior, and puts her to bed. The next morning, Yuji receives company messages and insists on working despite Lin telling her to rest. Lin is pleased by her seriousness and drives her to the office. Yuji presents the upcoming game launch, but Lin points out her mistakes and teaches her how to improve. Yuji appreciates his advice. Outside, she hears employees discussing Tianzhen and becomes sad again. Lin notices her mood and claims they need to visit an amusement park for research on their new mall game. His real goal is to cheer her up. At the amusement park, Yuji wants limited edition game toys. After failing several times, she and Lin empty the box together and collect the entire set. They enjoy the rides. Yuji has fun while Lin is terrified. During the bumper cars, Lin secretly uses his powers to make the other cars hit Yuji's, making them both laugh. Later, Yuji sees a romantic couple and becomes sad, so Lin cheers her up. On the way home, Yuji tells Lin that she fell in love with Tianzhen at 17 because he was poor but had supposedly done many things for her. She remembers a rare painting Tianzhen supposedly gave her. Lin knows the truth. Tianzhen never did those things. Lin himself secretly arranged them, while Tianzhen took the credit. The next day, Tianzhen explains away Yuji's misunderstanding by claiming the woman she saw was his friend's wife. Yuji believes him and decides to celebrate his birthday. Meanwhile, Qing and Yan continue misunderstanding each other's feelings. At home, Yuji cooks spicy food for Lin. He initially dislikes it, but eventually enjoys it. Lin then tells Yuji to prepare for a major game presentation to investors, including Mr. Liu. Yuji and her team work hard and create a game based on an ancient Chinese village. After completing it, Yuji treats the team to dinner. Yuan Yuan stays behind because of work. When Yuji returns to the office, she finds Yuan Yuan being harassed by Mr. Li's senior secretary. Yuji confronts him and reveals that the CCTV has recorded everything. She promises to remove him from the company and takes Yuan Yuan away. The next day, Yuji confronts Tianzhen and Mr. Li. They defend the secretary, and Li even blames Yuan Yuan. Yuji becomes furious, fires the secretary, and announces that abuse and harassment will not be tolerated in her company. Later, Yuan Yuan is forced to leave because of another issue, but Lin offers her a position at his company. The next day, Yuji's team prepares to present their game to Mr. Lei. Before they can present, Shen's team arrives and unveils the exact same design. Yuji realizes their project has been stolen. Yuan Yuan is frightened because she had warned the secretary about the plan, but Yuji forgives her. With nothing left to present, Yuji withdraws from the competition. Mr. Li is furious. Back at the company, Mr. Li and others blame Lin, believing someone powerful leaked the project. Yuji also becomes suspicious of Lin, and they argue. Later, Yuji goes out with Tianzhen, leaving Lin upset. Yan tells Lin that Shen is probably responsible because Lin would never betray the company. He also suggests Yuji may somehow help Lin's brain condition. Lin becomes irritated and uses his powers to feed Yan chili. Meanwhile, Tianzhen continues flirting with Yuji despite being Nuan's boyfriend. Nuan sees them together and becomes jealous. The next day, Yuji learns Lin won't come to the office for several days. She becomes angry and later tells Mr. Li that she now trusts him and wants Lin removed. Unknown to Yuji, Li secretly contacts Shen and is revealed as the person who leaked the game. That night, Li secretly discusses the leak. Yuji is nearby in disguise and records his confession. The truth is revealed. Yuji and Lin had never actually fought. After Yuan Yuan warned them about the secretary, they realized Li was responsible and created the appearance of a conflict to expose him. Yuji secretly records Li admitting everything, but the door locks. Lin arrives and distracts Li by pretending to kiss Yuji, allowing them to escape. The next day, the shareholders meet. Li expects Lin to be removed, but Yuji plays the recording of his confession. Li denies everything and asks for time to prove his innocence. Yuji agrees. Afterward, Yuji and Lin decide to contact Mr. Li again and present their project. Meanwhile, Qing continues trying to arrange blind dates for Yan. Later, Tianzhen asks Yuji to leave with him, but she refuses because she has booked a taxi. As soon as Tianzhen leaves, she gets into Lin's car, which Tianzhen notices. The next day, Yuji visits her father at the hospital with Lin. When she sees Tianzhen, she asks Lin to wait for 10-15 minutes. Lin deliberately changes the time on his phone and returns after only 2 minutes, pretending 15 minutes have passed. Tianzhen gives Yuji a peeled apple, but Lin immediately takes it away and refuses to let her eat it. The following day, Tianzhen is hospitalized after his health suddenly worsens. Yuji comes to see him, fills out his forms, and gives everything to Nuan when she arrives, asking her to take care of him. Suddenly, Yuji remembers she was supposed to meet Mr. Li with Lin and rushes home. Lin has already gone to the meeting and is furious. Nuan is also frustrated because Tianzhen ignored her during their previous dinner while focusing on Yuji. Even at the hospital, Yuji handled everything for him. Nuan feels like Tianzhen doesn't even acknowledge her as his girlfriend. When Yuji returns, Lin angrily asks how she could forget such an important meeting. He says the company is suffering because of her mistakes and asks whether she even wants to save it. Yuji apologizes and promises to do whatever he wants. Lin explains that Mr. Li will stay at a hotel for a while, so they should follow him and try to convince him again. They immediately fly there. At the hotel, they see many ballerinas who have come for a performance. Later, Yuji enters her room alone. Having heard rumors that the corner rooms are haunted, she becomes frightened. Her heartbeat rises, which Yan notices through her watch, so he calls Lin. Yuji also calls Lin and asks him to come. She secretly takes his pictures because she's scared. Lin wonders why, and Yan jokes that she might like him. Yuji explains she wants his picture so she can show it to a ghost and scare it away. Lin stares at her while she laughs. Suddenly, the light turns on, so Yuji sends Lin away. But when she enters the room, the light goes off again. Terrified, she calls him back. Lin asks whether he should stay. Yuji apologizes and asks him to remain. They eat, talk, and enjoy the evening together. The next morning, Yuji and Lin meet Mr. Li, but he refuses to listen. He says she has wasted his time repeatedly. The first meeting was ruined because she couldn't present, the second because she didn't show up, and now she has followed him to his hotel. Yuji begs for one chance, but Lin refuses. Before leaving, they accidentally bump into each other, and Yuji picks up their belongings, but unknowingly takes one of Lin's things. Lin gives her one condition. If she wants the project, she must find Miss Mai, a former ballerina he admires. If Mai performs for him once, he may reconsider. Yuji and Lin go to Mai's hotel but can't get through the security. They disguise themselves as reporters and enter her room. Mai immediately realizes they're lying. They explain they want her to perform one final time for Lin, but Mai refuses, saying she is too old and left ballet long ago. As security takes them away, a photograph falls from Yuji's hand. Mai sees it and asks how they know Lee. Later, they call Lin to return the photograph. When he arrives, Mai also comes out. They see each other after many years and become emotional. Yuji and Lin learn their story. Mai was once a talented ballerina who met Lee when he worked backstage. They became friends and fell in love. But Lee eventually told Mai he had married and they had to separate. In reality, he had lied because Mai had received a major opportunity abroad. He secretly injured his leg and used his health as an excuse to send her away, later claiming he had married so she would move on. Neither ever moved on. Lee never married, and Mai didn't either. Lin lets Mai hear Lee's side, but both still refuse to meet, believing too much time has passed. Lin then tells Yuji that Lee is seriously ill and may not have much time left. He avoided Mai because he feared dying after their reunion would hurt her more. Yuji disagrees and believes Lee should spend his remaining time with Mai. She goes to tell Mai, but Lin uses his powers to stop her. The next day, Yuji visits Lee while Lin visits Mai. They both encourage the two to meet. Finally, Lee and Mai reunite. Mai performs ballet on stage, and Lee appears behind her. They share their feelings, embrace, and finally get the happy ending they never had. Everyone takes pictures of the reunited couple. Meanwhile, Qing keeps sending Yan on blind dates, frustrating him. Then Yan receives an emergency hospital call. A pregnant woman has a serious brain problem. Yan saves the baby through surgery, but the mother dies. Devastated, Yan receives comfort from Qing. Meanwhile, Lin and Yuji celebrate Lin and Mai's reunion. At a market, Yuji spots a rare game collectible and tries to win it, but fails. Lin challenges her to see who can find it first. They each buy 3 boxes. Yuji gets nothing from hers. Then Lin asks her to open his. The first is empty. Yuji jokingly promises that if Lin gets the rare item, she'll shout, "Lin, you're the best. You're the most lovely. I like you a lot." She opens the second box and finds the rare item. Lin makes her keep her promise and shout it. Just then, Tianzhen and Nuwan arrive. They claim to be there for different reasons, while Lin and Yuji say they came for Lee. Lin deliberately makes Yuji finish her sentence, showing Tianzhen their closeness. Later, Lin and Yuji return home and finish their work. Yuji asks Lin to check the presentation, and he approves it for Mr. Lee. The next day, Tianzhen visits Lin's house. Yuji quickly goes to her room, but accidentally leaves her lipstick behind. Tianzhen notices it and gives it to Lin. Lin tells Yuji that Tianzhen has seen it. When Tianzhen calls her from outside, Yuji quickly comes out and pretends she was on the phone. Later, Tianzhen privately tells Lin that he likes Yuji and asks him to stay away. Lin openly says he likes her too. He explains that he stepped back once before, but won't do it again. Meanwhile, Yuji keeps messaging Tianzhen about work. When he arrives, she pretends she only needed to discuss something minor. That evening, Yuji takes selfies. Lin asks for one for a document, but all her pictures have heavy makeup and filters. Eventually, she sends one. Lin prints it huge and hangs it inside his car, laughing at the ridiculous picture. The next day, Lin tells Yuji he will be late because he has to meet Yan. Meanwhile, Yuji's employees decide to hold a party at her house. Since she can't find an affordable place, everyone gathers at Lin's house. Nuwan brings snacks, and Tianzhen comes because she told him about the party. Everyone decorates the terrace. Lin unexpectedly returns early. Yuji panics and asks him to pretend the house isn't his and not reveal they live together. Lin agrees. Tianzhen and Lin begin competing while opening cold drink bottles, impressing everyone. Nuwan becomes increasingly jealous watching Yuji and Lin together. Later, Yuji goes downstairs for drinks and Tianzhen follows. He says he knows she is living with Lin. Yuji denies anything romantic, but Tianzhen makes insulting comments that deeply upset her. Yuji asks if he is basically calling her a prostitute. Lin hears everything. Yuji firmly defends Lin, saying he never did anything wrong and helped her when she needed him. He also taught her how to handle her work. She tells Tianzhen clearly that she isn't leaving Lin and walks away. Lin is secretly happy hearing her defend him. After the party, everyone leaves. Nuan again asks Tianzhen to publicly acknowledge her as his girlfriend, but he says it isn't the right time. She becomes angry but eventually leaves with him. At home, Yuji and Lin learn that Mr. Li approved their files and the deal is confirmed. Yuji becomes extremely happy and thanks Lin repeatedly. Meanwhile, Dr. Yan reads a nurse's novel and notices strange details about himself and Lin, including their exact names and habits. He realizes Qing must have written it and decides to confront her. The next day, Yuji meets Tianzhen. He asks if she's still angry, but she says she understands he was worried about her. She also tells him Lin is a good person. Tianzhen doesn't argue. Meanwhile, Qing goes shopping with Yan to buy a gift for her landlord, who helped her and gave her a cheap house. Yan becomes jealous and criticizes everything she chooses, warning her that the landlord seems creepy. Qing ignores him and buys the gift. In the lift, a drunk man troubles Qing. Yan arrives and punches him, but the man's condition suddenly worsens. Yan immediately takes him to the hospital. At the office, Nuan hears that her program's ratings are poor and it may be cancelled. She becomes miserable and even more resentful toward Yuji. Meanwhile, Lin takes Yuji to dinner. She promised to treat him after getting the project, but Lin chooses an expensive restaurant and orders many dishes. Yuji only orders salad, worried about the bill. She later discovers Lin has VIP privileges and they can eat there free for a month. He knew this all along. Angry and hungry, Yuji complains, so Lin laughs and takes her to their usual noodle shop. While eating noodles, Yuji and Lin begin looking at each other differently. Yuji realizes she is developing feelings for him, and Lin also keeps staring at her. Just as they are about to get closer, they notice Tianzhen nearby, extremely drunk and collapsing. Lin and Yuji help him. Lin carries Tianzhen home and even ruins his suit without caring. After putting Tianzhen on the sofa, he goes to clean his coat. Yuji stays beside Tianzhen, who drunkenly says he has always liked her and wants to stay with her. Nuan suddenly arrives and hears everything. Already jealous, she tells them to leave because she will handle her boyfriend. Yuji is shocked to discover that Tianzhen and Nuan have secretly been dating for a long time. She feels betrayed because she had always told Nuan everything about Tianzhen, while Nuan had hidden their relationship from her. Yuji is especially hurt because she had liked Tianzhen for so long, only to discover that his girlfriend was her own best friend, while Tianzhen had also been flirting with her. She leaves sadly. Tianzhen later regains consciousness and lies to Nuan, claiming he thought she was there when he was talking to Yuji. Nuan foolishly believes him again, gives him another chance, and they reconcile. At home, Yuji is still upset, so Lin prepares a nice setup outside, and they eat and watch a movie together. Yuji tells him the movie is about a woman whose best friend steals her lover and cheats on her. Lin feels uncomfortable hearing this, but Yuji laughs and says everything is fine now. The two spend the evening together. The next morning at the office, everyone looks at Yuji and Lin strangely. They discover that Shen has made an old picture from Yuji's 20th birthday go viral. In the photo, Yuji and Lin are sleeping together in bed, causing everyone to assume they are having an affair and that Lin only helped Yuji's company because of her. Yuji's reputation is badly damaged, and people start spreading rumors about her. Tianzhen even tells her, "See what happened? I told you to stay away from him." Feeling overwhelmed, Yuji leaves and goes to the hospital to sit beside her father. She begs him to wake up because everything in her life is going wrong. She tries to remember what happened on the night of the picture, but she remembers almost nothing. She only recalls meeting Tianzhen at a club, drinking a little, and suddenly fainting. When she woke up, she was in bed with Lin. Neither of them remembers what happened. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Yan confronts Qing with the information from the novel and asks if she wrote it. She can't answer. Yan kisses her and says he knows she did it, adding that he only likes girls. Frightened and confused, Qing runs away. Later, Yuji's company shareholders hold a meeting. They demand that Lin and Yuji take responsibility because the scandal is damaging the company. Lin refuses to leave and says he will prove that he did nothing wrong. He announces that he will hold a press conference. At the hospital, Qing begs Yuji to control Lin because his reputation and the company are both at risk. She repeatedly asks Yuji to help. At the press conference, Lin admits that the viral picture is real and not edited, but explains that it was taken years ago and Yuji did nothing wrong. He is about to announce that he will leave the company when Yuji suddenly arrives. In front of all the reporters, Yuji runs to Lin and kisses him. She announces that they have actually been dating since they were 20, and the picture is from that time. She explains that Lin didn't invest company shares into her business. He invested his own personal money. They had simply kept their relationship private, and someone exposed their private pictures without permission. The news spreads everywhere. To protect Yuji's reputation, the two decide to publicly act as a couple and give interviews and photo shoots. They realize that if everyone believes they are genuinely together, the rumors about Yuji using Lin to save her company will disappear. At home, Yan trains them on how to behave like a real couple, how to walk, sit, hold hands, and act naturally in public. Yuji and Lin follow his ridiculous instructions while laughing at him. Soon, they do a uniform brand photo shoot, and their pictures become popular. They also appear on a news show. The host asks how they met, and Lin surprises Yuji by remembering countless details about their relationship because he had always liked her. Yuji also praises Lin. The interview becomes a huge success, and people start calling them an adorable couple. The scandal gradually disappears. That night, Qing visits Lin for work, and Yan is there too. Yan once again teaches Lin and Qing how lovers should behave, including how to hold hands. When Lin is told to demonstrate with Qing, she calls him a pervert and pushes him away. Later, Qing and Yuji cook together. Yuji tells her that Yan doesn't like spicy food, so Qing deliberately makes everything extremely spicy just to annoy him. When they serve the food, Yan can't eat it and orders something from outside instead. The four of them then sit together, eat, and enjoy their time. The next day, Lin tells Yuji they are going to the construction site and that their new shareholder will meet them. There she meets Yu. Yuji remembers seeing many messages from Yu on Lin's phone and immediately becomes suspicious that something might be going on between them. Yuji is already developing feelings for Lin, so watching how close Lin and Yu are makes her jealous. At the construction site, Yuji explains everything to Yu. She then discovers that some people still haven't vacated the land where their mall will be built, so she goes to speak with them. Meanwhile, Yu tells Lin that he doesn't trust Yuji and thinks she may not be capable of handling the project. Lin firmly says he trusts Yuji and believes she can do it. Yu asks him to give her one chance, and Lin agrees. While speaking with the people at the site, Yuji overhears a man saying on the phone that they will never vacate the property and that he will handle everything. Yuji realizes someone is secretly working against her project, and it is Shen. When Yuji approaches the man to question him, he suddenly pushes her into the water. Yuji falls in and begins drowning. Suddenly, Lin arrives and saves Yuji, but using his powers makes him extremely weak. Yu brings them home, then Lin is hospitalized. When he wakes, he makes Yu promise not to tell Yuji about his condition. Yu agrees, but warns him to take care of himself. Meanwhile, Yuji wakes at the hotel and searches for Lin. She eventually finds him and asks where he was all night. Lin says he was at the hospital with Yu because her health wasn't good. Yuji feels jealous but says nothing. She later asks Yu about it, and Yu tells her not to worry. Yuji and Lin return to the construction site to check the work. Yuji again asks about the previous night, but Lin insists nothing happened and says he's fine. She accepts his answer and focuses on work. Meanwhile, Tianzhen discovers Nuan writing negative things about Yuji's company. Ting Lin, he scolds her for repeatedly trying to damage Yuji's reputation. Nuan becomes furious, saying Tianzhen only cares about Yuji and doesn't care whether anything happens to her. As she leaves angrily, a ladder falls toward Tianzhen. Nuan pushes him away and gets injured instead. Tianzhen immediately takes her to the hospital. Later, Lin, Yu, and Yuji discuss the contract. Yu agrees to sign because she trusts Lin's judgment about Yuji. When Yuji goes to the bathroom, Yu follows and admits that she once liked Lin and still has feelings for him. She says she was unsure about giving Yuji the project, but Lin trusted Yuji completely. Yuji assures Yu that she won't disappoint either of them and promises to handle everything well. When Yu later asks Lin to come with her, Yuji casually explains that Lin is going to the hospital to visit her father. Yu smiles and leaves. At the hospital, Yuji sees Tianzhen apologizing to Nuan, and it appears they have repaired their relationship. Happy to see them together, Yuji quietly leaves. Back at the company, Yuji asks her assistant Zenga to find footage from her 20th birthday because she wants to discover what really happened that night. Zenga finds a picture showing a man putting something into Yuji's drink. The man has a distinctive mole on his left hand. Yuji realizes the person responsible must be someone close to them. She goes to Lin, who is at the airport saying goodbye to Yu, and asks him to remember what happened that night. Lin explains that he had gone to Yuji's house but couldn't find her. He learned she'd gone to meet Tianzhen, became upset, drank heavily, and later heard a noise that made him think Yuji had returned. After that, he remembers nothing. Yuji shows Lin the photograph and explains that someone had drugged her drink too. They decide to uncover the truth. They meet Mr. Lee at the same restaurant. When a waitress spills something on his hand, he raises his sleeve, revealing the exact mole from the photograph. Yuji realizes he was involved and confronts him, but he challenges her to bring proof and leaves. Lin then pulls Tianzhen aside and tells him he knows he was involved. Tianzhen refuses to confess, so Lin uses his powers to threaten him. Terrified, Tianzhen finally tells the truth. Tianzhen admits that he drugged Yuji's drink because he wanted compromising photographs that he could later use to blackmail her. He was jealous because Yuji's father wanted her to marry Lin and saw Tianzhen only as a lawyer and friend. Tianzhen's greed made him want control of Yuji, so he planned the entire scheme. Lin orders him to confess everything to Yuji himself. We then learn that Nuan had actually seen Tianzhen near Yuji that night and secretly took a picture, which is why she had always questioned him about what he had done. Later, Lin, drunk and confused, entered the room and fell asleep beside Yuji. He had only removed his shirt because alcohol made him feel hot. Nothing inappropriate happened between them. The misunderstanding was created entirely by Tianzhen's actions. Yuji realizes that almost everyone around her had betrayed her. Nuan, Tianzhen, and even Mr. Li. The only person who had consistently protected and cared for her was Lin. Meanwhile, Shen saves Tianzhen from trouble, but orders him to work for him directly. Tianzhen agrees. Elsewhere, Qing goes to meet her landlord and discovers that the landlord is actually Yan. Neither of them knew the identity of the other. Qing mistakenly thinks Yan came to meet someone else and runs away. Later, Yuji deliberately gets Lin drunk to discover how he behaved on her 20th birthday. Lin becomes hot and starts removing his shirt, confirming her suspicion that this was exactly what happened that night. Yuji puts him to bed, but Lin suddenly kisses her. She kisses him back, and he falls asleep. The next morning, Yuji jokingly warns him never to drink around another woman because he might kiss her too. Lin laughs at her jealousy. Lin later meets Yan and discovers through his powers that Yan has feelings for Qing and has kissed her. Lin encourages him to confess. When they later see Qing, Lin tells Yan to talk to her, but she immediately avoids him. On the way home, Lin and Yuji's car breaks down, so they ride on a truck together, eating, drinking, and talking. At home, Yuji watches TV while Lin showers. When a kissing scene appears, she repeatedly changes channels, only to find more kissing scenes. Lin laughs at how embarrassed she is, and Yuji runs away. Meanwhile, Shen and Tianzhen discuss another contract designed to harm Yuji's company. Tianzhen isn't comfortable hurting Yuji anymore, but his greed wins, and he agrees. Nuan later asks Tianzhen to use his company connections to save her show, but Tianzhen refuses. She becomes frustrated that he won't even help her. Yan then messages Qing to meet him. Qing tells Yuji about a friend who kissed her boss's best friend and doesn't know what to do. Yuji immediately realizes she's talking about Yan and suggests a girls' night. Yuji dresses Qing in a beautiful feminine outfit, does her makeup, and takes her to a club. They dance, drink, and have fun. Lin watches them from a distance without interfering. After drinking, Qing starts insulting Yan. Lin calls Yan and tells him to come get her. Yan initially refuses, but eventually arrives. Qing becomes silent when she sees him. Yan takes Qing away, and because he still doesn't know she's his Tianzhen, puts her in a hotel for the night. When she grabs his hand while drunk, he struggles to control the situation before finally getting her to sleep. The next morning, Qing runs away from the hotel. Yan receives a message from her that makes him realize she may actually be the girl renting his house. He becomes happy. Meanwhile, Yuji receives red roses at work. She initially thinks they're from Lin, but the card reveals they're from Shen. Shen invites her to meet him, and she agrees. She asks Lin to come too, but he refuses because he's jealous, pretending not to care. Later, Lin and Yan and Yuji and Qing discuss their relationship problems and give each other advice about how to approach their partners. Yuji then meets Shen at a sports facility to discuss the contract. Lin had insisted he wouldn't come, but Yuji knows he'll eventually show up, and he does. They decide to build trust by competing in sports before signing the contract. They form two teams, Lin with Tianzhen and Shen with Yuji. During a climbing challenge, Shen easily wins his round. Then Yuji and Lin climb. Lin deliberately lets Yuji go ahead. Suddenly, Yuji's safety wire breaks, something Shen had secretly arranged. She starts falling, but Lin uses his powers and saves her in midair before bringing her down safely. Most people don't notice what happened, but Shen sees everything. Realizing Lin may possess supernatural abilities, he immediately orders his men to obtain the CCTV footage. After that, Yuji and Lin leave. In the car, Yuji says she'll go inside for half an hour to get the contract signed, but Lin worries because she nearly fell earlier. He finally agrees, but sets a timer, warning her that if she doesn't return within 30 minutes, he'll come inside himself. Meanwhile, Tianzhen confronts Shen and reminds him that he promised not to hurt Yuji. Shen claims the wire was simply faulty, but Tianzhen knows he is lying and leaves angrily. Outside, Tianzhen sees Nuan meeting a businessman at a hotel and becomes suspicious. Nuan explains that he is simply an important company businessman and she would never come to a hotel with another man. Hurt by Tianzhen's doubt, she leaves. She then meets Shen, and Tianzhen introduces Shen as his girlfriend's acquaintance before leaving. Yuji meets Shen to discuss the contract. Shen challenges her to beat him in a game first. Yuji struggles, but Lin arrives and helps her win. Shen agrees to sign the contract and gives Yuji a toy identical to the one her father once gave her. Shen is secretly testing whether Yuji knows about the recording hidden inside the toy. But Yuji innocently says she already has the same toy from her father and tells Shen to keep his rare one. Lin then takes Yuji away, promising Shen they'll meet the next day to sign the contract. In the car, Lin explains nothing because he suspects Shen isn't trustworthy and wants to investigate him first. When they reach home, Lin's health becomes worse because he has been overusing his powers. Yuji becomes worried and repeatedly asks what's wrong, but Lin refuses to explain because he doesn't want to burden her. Eventually, he gets angry, goes upstairs, and faints. Hurt by his behavior, Yuji sits outside and refuses to come back in until he apologizes. She stays outside so long that she develops a fever. When Lin wakes up, he searches for her and finds her sitting in the cold. He carries her inside, gives her medicine, and takes care of her all night. He promises to explain everything later. The next morning, Yuji tells Lin about the meteor shower expected that night. He initially refuses, but eventually agrees. Before that, they go shopping. Yuji wears a short dress, so Lin worries she'll catch cold and makes her wear several jackets. At the mall, she looks ridiculous compared with everyone else, but Lin puts her in a shopping trolley and pushes her around, making everyone admire them. Meanwhile, Shen becomes increasingly interested in Lin after seeing videos of him using his powers. He orders his staff to investigate everything about both Lin and Yuji. That night, Yuji waits outside in a small tent for the meteor shower. Nothing happens, and she becomes disappointed. Lin secretly prepares fireworks instead. When Yuji comes outside, the sky suddenly fills with fireworks, making her extremely happy. The two spend a beautiful night together. The next day, Yuji learns that her father is recovering and that Yan helped him. Yan also tells Yuji that he once opposed her relationship with Lin, but now believes she's perfect for his friend. Yuji then asks him whether Lin really has supernatural powers or is perhaps an alien. Yan tells her to search for answers herself. She begins researching whether such powers can exist, while also chatting with her mysterious gaming friend, who is actually Lin. Meanwhile, Shen's staff warns him that Lin has been investigating him. Shen orders him to stop Lin before he discovers too much about Shen or Yuji's family. The next day is a Chinese festival similar to Valentine's Day. Couples celebrate together, but Yuji is alone because Lin is out with Yan. She calls him, and Yan deliberately has a woman give Lin flowers, making Yuji think he's with another woman. She gets jealous and hangs up. Lin becomes annoyed with Yan, but then admits that he plans to confess everything to Yuji because he doesn't want to keep lying to her. Yan tells Qing, who immediately messages Yuji that Lin may propose to her. Yuji becomes excited. Lin takes Yuji to a restaurant. She keeps looking for the ring in the wine and cake, but nothing happens. Later, she overhears staff saying that Lin once secretly paid the entire bill for her and pretended she had won a prize. Yuji realizes how much he has always cared for her. Meanwhile, Yan takes Qing to his orphanage and tells her about his childhood and how his mother abandoned him there. He says he wants a new beginning with her, but then he receives a call from the hospital about Lin and becomes worried, and he goes to Lin and tells him he has no more time. Lin takes Yuji to a beautiful rose-filled location. He reveals that they had been there as children after escaping from Lin's bullies. Yuji doesn't remember because Lin had erased her memories back then. He tells her how they met again as adults, how he became her tutor, and how they grew close. Despite Yan warning him not to use his powers because of his worsening health, Lin uses them one last time, making all the roses bloom. Then, Lin confesses his love. Yuji is overjoyed, and they kiss and embrace. Later, Yuji visits Lin's old room and discovers recordings and birthday memories he prepared for her. She also learns that many things she thought Tianzhen had done were actually done by Lin. She remembers the signed coat from her favorite retiring player, which she believed Tianzhen bought. In reality, Lin had won it himself after playing for it with his friend. Yuji becomes emotional, realizing Lin had secretly been there for her from the beginning. Spend more time together, play games, make promises, and Lin reveals that he is actually her mysterious gaming partner, the person she always shared everything with. They even get married inside the game. That night, Yuji asks Lin to make noodles. He tells her to sleep and secretly prepares them. However, Lin has already made a painful decision. He tells Yan he wants to create beautiful memories, propose to Yuji, then erase her memories of him before he dies so she won't suffer. Lin takes Yuji's phone, deletes their pictures and his number, and uses his powers to erase her memories. But because he is extremely weak and has overused his powers, something goes wrong. Instead of Yuji forgetting Lin, Lin seems to disappear from her memories in a strange way. Lin leaves with his belongings. The next morning, Yuji wakes up remembering everything. She happily finds the noodles Lin made and tries calling him, but his number is gone. Confused, she goes to his office. Meanwhile, Qing visits Yan and discovers files revealing Lin is going to die. Furious that Yan hid the truth, she accuses him of not loving or trusting her and tries to leave. Yan stops her, lets her hear his heartbeat, confesses his love, and they kiss. Meanwhile, Lin returns to his own company after working at Shen's company. Everyone is shocked to see him. He immediately resumes his professional behavior and asks why Qing isn't there. A staff member says she is with Yuji. When Lin leaves, Yuji arrives and follows him into the elevator. She jokes with him, believing he is deliberately ignoring her. Lin becomes irritated and says he doesn't remember her or even know who she is. Yuji is shocked. Qing arrives and Yuji tells her everything. Yuji then tells Lin she is his girlfriend, but he refuses to believe her. She shows him their pictures, but his phone appears empty. He tells her to leave or he will call security. Then he checks again and suddenly finds many pictures of himself with Yuji. Everyone takes Lin to Yan, who confirms that Lin really dated Yuji. Yan explains that Lin may have overused his powers. He had planned to erase Yuji's memories after proposing, but the power somehow reversed, causing Lin to lose his own memories. Yan tells Lin not to be harsh because they truly loved each other, but Lin insists he remembers nothing and doesn't want to stay with Yuji. When Lin goes home, Yuji follows him and shows him a presentation of their relationship from childhood to the present. Lin becomes angry and says she cannot change his mind. He even offers her money to stay away. Yuji refuses and leaves heartbroken. Meanwhile, Tianzhen regrets how much Nuan suffered because of him. He goes to meet her with a ring. Before Shen can reach her, Tianzhen proposes and admits he was only attracted to Yuji because of greed, which is now gone. Nuan accepts. Shen watches them from his car. Yuji cries with Qing after Lin lets her leave. She promises to make Lin remember everything and Qing agrees to help. The next day, Lin goes to work with Qing. Yuji and Qing recreate their childhood meeting, with actors pretending to bully Lin so Yuji can save him. But Lin has learned to fight and beats them for real. The actors complain and leave, while Lin becomes angry with Yuji. Later, Yuji pretends to drown in a swimming pool. Lin refuses to help, pointing out that the water is too shallow. Yuji realizes how embarrassing the plan is. She later finds Lin at a bar surrounded by waitresses. Hurt, she leaves angrily. On his way out, Lin hears a staff member insulting him. Before he can react, Yuji throws ice and water at the man and defends Lin, saying she knows he is a good person. Lin witnesses everything. That evening, Yuji meets Yan and tells him how deeply she loves Lin and wants him to recover. Yan agrees to help. The next day, Yan takes Lin to a beautiful place for breakfast and suggests a race to the top. Lin reaches first and finds Yuji waiting there because Yan arranged it. Yuji tells Lin she loves him but thinks they should stop meeting because he has forgotten her. Lin secretly watches their old interviews and realizes how deeply they once loved each other. He is beginning to care for her again but says nothing. Yuji leaves and Lin doesn't stop her. Meanwhile, Nuan goes with Tianzhen to choose her wedding dress. At the same time, Yuji receives files revealing Tianzhen's long-term corruption and greed. She realizes he had been with her for money. Yuji calls Tianzhen and pretends she doesn't understand the files, mentioning that she has a number that can reveal who is behind everything. Tianzhen becomes nervous and rushes to the company. After Yuji leaves, Tianzhen calls the number. It is actually Yuji's own number, confirming that she knows he is responsible. Nuan arrives and accuses Yuji of chasing her boyfriend. Yuji tells her the truth. She loves Lin, while Tianzhen was the one pursuing her. Nuan leaves and breaks up with Tianzhen, saying he will never change. She locks herself in her room and refuses to speak to him. Yuji is devastated by Tianzhen's betrayal, Nuan's anger, and losing Lin. She drinks with Qing and eventually calls Lin. Lin comes to get her while Yan takes Qing home. At Lin's house, Yuji asks why he doesn't like her and keeps pushing her away. Although he has no memories, Lin is beginning to develop feelings for her. He puts her to bed. The next morning, Yuji apologizes and tries to leave, but Lin asks her to pay the alcohol bill. Angry, she pays and leaves. At home, Yuji picks up her father's old toy, and a recording suddenly plays. She discovers the truth about Shen. Shen is the secret son of Yuji's uncle, her father's brother. After his uncle died, the family property went to Yuji's father. Shen later came looking for his family, but Yuji's father ignored him and had security remove him. His mother suffered because of this, making Shen determined to seek revenge. His confrontation with Yuji's father eventually worsened his health. Yuji realizes Shen is behind everything. She copies the recording to her laptop and destroys the toy in water. She then meets Shen and pretends she wants him to repair the toy. Shen immediately realizes she knows the truth and decides to attack Lin. Shen sends Lin videos of him using his powers and threatens to publish them unless Lin meets him. Lin already knows Shen's identity and wants to tell Yuji, but has no choice. Yuji also calls Lin to discuss Shen. When she reaches home and finds him gone, she sees the video playing on his laptop and realizes he has gone to meet Shen. Lin arrives at the location and is attacked by Shen's men. He initially warns them, but eventually uses his powers to defeat them. Shen watches through cameras and realizes Lin's powers have a limit. As Lin becomes weaker, Shen mocks him and says everything has been recorded and will soon be published. Yuji arrives just in time, puts Lin in her car, and escapes. Shen's men chase them because he wants Lin alive for experiments. Yuji hides inside a mall and contacts Yan. He says he is being followed too and gives her the address of his private house, telling her to hide there with Lin. Yuji throws her phone in another direction so the men follow it instead, allowing them to escape. At Yan's house, Lin becomes extremely sick. Yuji takes care of him, gives him medicine, and lets him rest. Meanwhile, Tianzhen visits Nuan again. She refuses to speak, but he warns her about Shen and explains that Shen has trapped him too, leaving him unable to refuse his demands. Nuan still tells him to leave, but begins thinking about his warning. The next morning, Yuji wakes beside Lin and prepares breakfast. They spend time together. Yuji says Yan called and that many people, including Qing, are being followed. Yan plans to come once he escapes them. Lin assures her he will arrive soon. The two eat breakfast, watch a movie, and quietly wait for Yan. During the movie, Yuji becomes emotional because the female lead loses her memory and forgets her lover, just like her. When the lights suddenly go out, she becomes even sadder. Lin comforts her, explaining that he has watched the movie over 50 times and that the girl's memory eventually returns, allowing her to reunite with her lover. Yuji becomes happy after hearing the ending. Lin then takes her to the terrace and plays the movie on another screen. When it starts raining, he quickly takes her downstairs and dries her with a towel. Although Lin has lost his memories, he is slowly falling for Yuji again, and she enjoys their time together. Meanwhile, Nuan investigates Shen after Tianzhen's warning and realizes he is dangerous. Shen orders his men to find Lin at any cost. Yuji and Lin continue enjoying simple moments together, eating, sleeping, watching TV, and spending time at home. Later, Shen asks Nuan for help. He explains that he is the hidden son of Mr. Yu's older brother and claims Mr. Yu took everything from his father. He only wants his father's shares and company back. Nuan realizes Shen cannot be trusted and tries to leave, but Shen blackmails her with Tianzhen's documents. She is forced to cooperate. Later, Nuan appears on her show and talks about superhumans, saying she knows a man with special powers whom she will soon introduce to the world. Yuji sees the broadcast and becomes worried. She repeatedly calls Nuan, then goes to the station and asks her to meet downstairs. When Nuan comes down, Shen's men kidnap both women. After being tied up, Yuji angrily asks Nuan how she could betray her. Nuan admits she was angry with Yuji, but never expected Shen to betray her too. They free themselves and try to escape, but Yuji is caught again. She tells Nuan to run for help. Nuan escapes and calls Tianzhen. Meanwhile, Lin wakes up and discovers Yuji is missing. Yan and Qing arrive, and Lin realizes she may be in danger. He tracks the watch he gave Yuji because it contains a tracking chip. When Lin arrives, Nuan and Tianzhen reveal Shen is behind everything. Shen calls Lin and orders him to come alone. Lin tells the others to contact the police while he goes to save Yuji. Shen has tied Yuji above a fire. She reminds him they are family, but Shen says there is no family between them and blames Yuji and her father for his suffering. When Lin arrives, Shen orders his men to beat him without letting him use his powers. He wants to test Lin's strength and healing ability. Lin is already weak, so the beating seriously harms him. Yuji cries and begs him to save himself, but Lin finally uses his powers, extinguishes the fire, and catches Yuji when she falls. The police arrive and arrest Shen's men. Shen escapes in a car and tries to upload the videos, only to discover the chip is empty. At the hospital, everyone worries about Lin. Yan later says Lin is stable and should recover. Yuji remains deeply emotional. Qing apologizes to Yuji and explains that she removed the chip containing the videos because she feared Shen would use them against Nuan. She kept the evidence as protection and now returns everything to Yuji. Yuji visits Lin and asks him to undergo the operation. She promises to stay beside him. They hug and cry together. Later, Yuji meets Tianzhen. He apologizes for his mistakes and says he will surrender to the police. Yuji cannot forgive everything, but supports his decision if he truly wants to change. Soon, Yuji learns her father has regained consciousness. She tells him everything, including her feelings for Lin. Her father says he always wanted them to marry. Yuji explains Lin's illness and that he may not have much time left. Her father reveals Lin had already visited him and said the same thing. Lin wants to spend his remaining time with Yuji. Her father finally agrees, saying she should marry Lin if he makes her happy. Later, Yuji arrives home with Lin and finds the car trunk filled with flowers. Lin puts a ring on her finger, fireworks appear, and he kisses her. They quickly obtain their marriage certificate and become husband and wife, deciding to spend their remaining time happily together. Soon, Yuji, Lin, Yan, and Qing go on a picnic. They cook, play games, and take pictures together. Later, Lin goes outside with Yan and asks him to keep himself and Qing away from Yuji for a while because she is suffering but cannot cry. He wants her to release her emotions instead of forcing herself to smile. Meanwhile, Yuji cries to Qing, saying she wants these moments to last forever, but doesn't know how much time remains with Lin. Qing comforts her and says the operation will succeed. When Lin and Yan return, Yuji becomes happy again. Back home, Yuji and Lin continue their everyday life. They sleep together, cook, visit the mall, and record everything. They film themselves shopping, choosing vegetables, cooking, and even Lin teaching Yuji about spices because they want to preserve every small memory. Soon, Lin prepares to leave for his operation. Yuji becomes emotional while packing for him. Lin comforts her, but she admits she doesn't know how she could live if he died because the operation has a low chance of success. Lin tells her not to ruin her life if something happens. He encourages her to pursue her dream of becoming a fashion reporter and producer instead of running the business. He asks her to promise that even if he goes far away, she will continue living for herself and for both of them. Yuji agrees. The next day, Nuan is leaving and calls Yuji. At the airport, Nuan apologizes and says she wants a new beginning. She is going abroad to study and hopes to return as a better reporter. Yuji admits her mistakes are difficult to forgive but hopes she won't repeat them. Tianzhen is also there, but Nuan leaves without speaking to him. Tianzhen accepts his mistakes and lets her begin a new life. Meanwhile, Yan and Qing decorate a place with flowers. It is revealed that Yuji and Lin are getting married in front of their close friends and family. A few days earlier, Yuji and Lin had found matching bride and groom outfits while shopping. Both mistakenly thought the other wanted the outfit, so they argued over it. Yan and Qing later discover that Yuji and Lin had arranged everything for them, helping the two make up and agree to marry. The wedding begins, Yuji and Lin get married, but Shen suddenly appears, having survived the accident. He returns for revenge with a pistol. Shen shoots, but Yuji jumps in front of Lin and is hit. The bullet only grazes her, but she faints from blood loss. Lin becomes furious and uses his powers, causing Shen to shoot himself and die. However, using his powers makes Lin extremely sick, and he collapses too. Both are rushed to the hospital. Yuji wakes and immediately asks about Lin. Her father says Lin's operation has already begun. Yuji panics because Lin wasn't supposed to undergo it yet, but using his powers made the operation necessary immediately, with very low chances of success. She goes to the hospital but cannot enter, so she returns home with Qing and prays for Lin. Meanwhile, Yan waits outside the operating room. During the operation, he begins crying and eventually calls Yuji. Yuji anxiously asks about Lin. Yan tells her they couldn't save him. Yuji breaks down and repeatedly asks if Lin is really gone. Yan confirms it, and Yuji cries uncontrollably while Qing comforts her. The next morning, Lin's lawyers arrive and reveal that Lin transferred all his property to Yuji. She becomes even more emotional. Then she receives a message from Lin. Before the operation, he had prepared and scheduled messages to reach her at different times. Yuji remembers her promise to continue living for both of them. She focuses on her work while her father handles the company. She successfully completes her responsibilities and later becomes a producer of a successful show while continuing her fashion reporting. During an interview, Yuji says she promised Lin she would achieve her dreams. Her success grows while Lin's scheduled messages continue encouraging her. One day, she receives a message saying it will be the last. Lin tells her that if he hasn't returned, she should forget him and live happily. Yuji breaks down because she knows his messages will stop. The next day, she attends an award ceremony to receive the Best Producer award, but still misses Lin deeply. The previous day, Yuji had cried with Qing and asked when she would marry Yan. Almost a year has passed since Lin's supposed death, while Yan remains abroad. Qing says she will not marry Yan if he keeps delaying. Yuji tells her not to say that because she has already lost Lin and doesn't want them to become distant. Qing says she only wants Yan to return, and Yuji assures her that he will. Then the truth is revealed. Lin never died. Before the operation, Lin made Yan promise that if he survived but fell into a coma, Yan should tell Yuji he had died. Lin wanted Yuji to move forward and promised to return only after recovering completely. Lin did survive, but fell into a coma. Yan secretly cared for him abroad, constantly talking about Yuji and showing him her interviews to help him recover. Now Lin is slowly regaining consciousness. On the day of Yuji's award ceremony, she suddenly sees someone who looks like Lin. She runs after him but cannot find him. Her locket falls, along with the ring Lin gave her, thinking she imagined him. Yuji leaves. Someone secretly picks up the ring. Back inside, Yuji is about to receive her award from a famous fashion reporter. The reporter remembers meeting Yuji a year earlier and recalls that Lin was with her that day. She asks another man to come forward and help present Yuji's award. Suddenly, Lin appears. Everyone is shocked. Yan already knows the truth and begins clapping, while Qing becomes overwhelmed with happiness. Yuji cannot believe her eyes. Tears fill them as Lin walks toward her. After Yuji receives the award, Lin kisses her and puts the ring back on her finger, the same ring he secretly picked up. They are finally reunited. Later, Yuji and Lin happily live their normal life together. Lin receives a call from Yuji and goes to the terrace where they meet and smile at each other. They look toward the camera together, happy and reunited. And with that, the drama ends.